What is up, guys? Welcome back to the SuperCoach Experience podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Savage, the coach of the Savage Burbos. We're back for the first podcast of 2026, and what better way to start it off with a bang? I'm going to go over every single cheapie that I think is locked in for 2026. I have a full in-depth article on Patreon with all the players available. But today I go over my reasoning why I think they're locked in and why they are good cheapies, in my opinion. I think a lot of all the other kind of cheapie Bibles that go up are a lot of cheapies that could get a go some point in the season. But these are guys who I think are genuinely a really good chance of round one. This podcast, firstly, is brought to you by McGrath Accounting. Head over to McGrathAccounting.com.au. Use our name if you're getting a tax return done, and Carl will sort you out for a price. So that is McGrathAccounting.com.au. Let's get into the podcast. So starting with the hooker cheapies. First of all, I'm classifying a cheapie as under 350k. I do have one player in there that's a little bit over, but I feel like that's in a position that lacks a bit of depth for cheapies at least. So let's start at hooker, 343,900, Bailey Hayward. He will get the starting hooking role for the Bulldogs with Reed Marnie leaving the club. Yeah, they've signed Gordon Chan-Kum-Tong, who may come off the bench and spell him a few minutes, but I had a look at Bailey Hayward's stats, and me and Timmy are doing a podcast next Tuesday on hookers, so we will get an in-depth dive on Bailey Hayward. But I think he only averaged around 37 in his minutes starting at number 9. So I actually think that there's not much value in that purchase. Yeah, he's going to have all off-season to work on his craft as a starting hooker. And yeah, he will improve and he will adapt his game, but he averaged more when he was starting at 5'8". So I would have preferred him to be starting at 5'8" or somewhere in the middle, starting lock potentially. But I think as a hooker role, I don't see him as a running hooker. I see him as a distributor, and we know Reed Marnie is such a weapon with his attacking flair. And it seemed like Cameron Serrato kind of went away from that, from the running style hooker role. So I think Bailey Hayward is a little bit of a trap, but nonetheless, he's still a solid cheapie, and there's a little bit of value there at least. 235,600, Matt Arthur. New coach coming to the club in Justin Holbrook. So clean slate with the club. Matt Arthur was an Origin captain for the under-19 side. He is a brilliant talent. He reminds me a lot of Harry Grant / Owen Paddy, all those type of guys, and I think he's got a big future. So there's every chance he comes off the bench this year. But if he impresses in the preseason, I think there's a good chance he could start because, you know, Phoenix Crossland, he's a good hooker, but is he a long-term hooker? I'm not sure. They might need Phoenix Crossland to spend some time at lock. So I think Matt Arthur is a really good one. Talon De Silva, 235,600. I don't love this one, but I think he might get a bench spot as the number 14 potentially. Riley Smith played big minutes, 50-odd minutes last year, so I think there's every chance he comes on and plays 30. Yeah, there's a bit of value there. He could definitely make some money there, but I don't think he's a solid cheapie, but he will get a spot and he will make some money early on. Brandon Smith, 235,600. It's a bit tricky with Brandon Smith because I'm not sure what sort of role he's going to play. I think there's every chance he comes off the bench, and if this rule gets passed where the interchanges, there's 6 interchanges on the bench and only 4 can get used, then that could really hurt Brendan Smith, and he could potentially not get some time in some games. So I hope this rule doesn't pass for SuperCoach reasons. I think for HIA purposes, it's not too bad, but I think for SuperCoach purchases and Brendan Smith stocks, that would be disastrous. For the front row, we top it off with Tom Flegler, 346,200. I think for me, I want to wait and see how he starts off the season, see how many minutes he plays. I think there's every chance he eases into it pretty slowly. So 346,000 on, depending if you're putting him on the starting side or on your bench. I think it's too much to put on your reserves, but I think it's not enough to put in your starting side. So I would just hold off on Tom Flegler early on. Just see how he goes coming back from that disastrous, like a nerve damage injury or something like that. Jesse Colquhoun, 332,500. He started at number 13 late last year after Cam McInnes did his ACL. McInnes will be out early in the season, so he will play that number 13 role. Haven't deep dived into it completely yet, but I think there's a lot of value there. He played big minutes last year, so I think when we go over the front row forward podcast, I think he's going to be a very, very hot topic. Taniela Paseka, 328,600. He's back from injury. He played 3 games last year, average over 50. He is priced at less than 35, so I think there's already value there considering he had a lean year last year. There's already value just based on his 3 games last year, and he's averaged 55 in the past. So I think Taniela Paseka is one of the better cheapies, especially in the front row forward. Caleb Navale, 277,900. I think back to Paseka as well. He is the main guy in their pack, so they need him to play big minutes. There's no ifs or buts about will he play decent minutes or not. There's 100% guaranteed. They're shot for middles at the moment, so he will play big minutes. Caleb Navale, and because they are shot for middle minutes, Caleb Navale, if he gets a bench spot at 277,900, which I think there's every chance. Toph Sibley gone from the club, Matt Lodge gone from the club. I think there's every chance he gets a bench spot. He impressed for Fiji in the offseason in the international, so I think he's a very good shout. And 277,000, considering he's that type of forward, good leg speed, and just really looks like he has a lot of attacking flair. I think 277,000 is great. Curtis Moran, 260,400, moves up to the Titans for an opportunity. Regan Campbell-Gillard has left the club, and I think the Titans will kind of try and differ their play style. They've gone for really big middles in the past in Jermaine Jolliffe, Mo Fodawaker, Tino. I think they will try and lighten their pack and try and adapt to the current game style. I think Josh Hannay, he's a smart coach. I think he plays good minutes off the bench, Curtis Moran. So I don't mind him as an option at all. 235,600, Cody Hopwood for the Newcastle Knights. Once again, they're another team who was shot for middles. Leo Thompson leaving the club. So I think there's a lot of minutes to be had there. I think Trey Mooney really, really benefits a lot, but cheapie-wise, Cody Hopwood at 235,600. Hadn't seen a lot of him, but definitely heard some big raps on Cody Hopwood. Into RF, Jacob Halangahu, 334,800. There was an interview with Shane Flanagan on one of the St. George podcasts, and he pretty much said Jacob Halangahu was training very well and was gunning for a starting position. They seemed to want to steer away from starting Luciano Leilua. I think Luciano Leilua is more of a coming off the bench type of guy. And I think if Jacob Halangahu gets that starting role, he'll pretty much be in place of what Dylan Egan did last year and spend some time on the edge. And then when Luch comes onto the field, he'll go into the middle, it's nearly the perfect Supercoach role. You've got attacking upside on the edge, and then you've got the higher work rate position in the middle. So I think it's a perfect role. If he gets a start, I think he's a really good spot. Elias Katoa is out for the 2026 season. So Joe Chan and Atavalu Lasati are very strong options. Joe Chan, 309,900. I think a lot of us have been burnt from having him in the past, hoping to get a starting role. And yeah, he might get named to round 1 on the edge and then not get named there again. That could absolutely kill us once again. But I'm willing to take the risk because they need this position filled. It's not waiting for someone like a Sean Bloor to adapt to their systems and all that sort of business. They're genuinely doing a fight out for the second row spot. And Lasati, 269,400. I think he's probably the better option. He looks like he's got more upside than Joe Chan, but Joe Chan did a pretty good job in the centres last year, so Bellamy may lean towards that way to his trusted, but I think Melbourne are going to go through some teething periods and going to experiment with a lot of players this year. So whoever gets that starting role, I think they'll be pretty much in a lot of Supercoach sides because the 2RF cheapies, they're few and far between. I think there's only like 5 that I think are genuine options for round 1 right here. But hopefully that opens up closer to lockout. Brendan Piakura, 305,300. He ended the season on the starting edge last year, and it took him a while. Like Jack Gizewski started the year and really had that position locked down for a while. Brendan Piakura was in and out, and I think there was a lot of circumstances for him to be at his price. He's a low work rate player. Definitely depends on a lot of attacking stats, but I think 305,000 for someone like Piakura is probably still a good price. But But that being said, the Broncos don't use their edges attackingly. I think that they like their edges to be more like Jordan Ricky is the kick diffuser. He likes to put pressure on the halfbacks when they're kicking and do kick chases and all that sort of stuff. Defend well. So who knows what style Madge is going for. But that being said, the Premiers are always targeted the year after, and they've got to change their playing style if they want to keep up with the times. Brendan Piakura could be used in who knows what way we think next year. But I think 300,000 still a good price. Jacob Laban, 299,900. Murata Niokore is getting no younger. Neither is Kurt Capewell. I think Laban is potentially in for a breakout year this year. I really expected it to happen last year, but it was Leka Halasima's year. I think Leka gets more minutes. Be interesting to see what way Andrew Webster goes for their starting side next year. Maverick Geyer, 292,100. Big chance he starts in the middle. Definitely. I've been pumping up his tyres heaps, and to be honest, he probably, I don't know if he does get a start or not, but he's really training hard and trying to make an impression, and he wants to play number 13, so I think he's a decent option there. At halfback, there's a lot of options here. Ethan Sanders or Kobe Black, depending on who gets the starting position at the Canberra Raiders. Ethan Sanders, 400, and then Kobe Black, 201,400. Whoever gets that starting role will probably get that starting role for the first 6 rounds at least, you'd say. I think we've seen enough of Ethan Sanders to realise he's probably not a SuperCoach player, but there's every chance he gets the goal kicking. Maybe if Ethan Strains gets a goal kicking, there's another conversation to be had there with Jamal Fogarty leaving the club. So, yeah, I'm interested to see how that goes. If Kobe Black gets a spot, I think I'm more inclined to go him. He's 45k cheaper, and yeah, these are really good cheapies, these two. And Daniel Atkinson, 235,600. He's a very good cheapie too. There's a lot of halves to go around this year. You know, you can start with Mitchell Moses, who picks up the goal kicking. You start with a Nathan Cleary, which I think is a really good option too. But I think the question will be, which cheapie do we go with? And I think Daniel Atkinson at 235,000 is probably the better of the lot. He will be the main attacking focus in that side, and he's been given the keys. He's already been confirmed to be number 7. I think I like what I see from Daniel Atkinson. He's a pass fullback, so his running game is strong. But that being said, new side, new spine, same as Kobe Black, rookie, but I don't know, just the vibes. I think Daniel Atkinson is a better buy. Mitch Woods, 201,400, and Jonah Glover, 201,400. I think they're close to getting a start. Mitch Woods, who knows what's going to happen there with the Bulldogs? There's every chance he does. There's every chance he doesn't. But I think he's definitely on the radar early on in the season at least. Jonah Glover, 201,000. If he gets a starting role for the Rabbitohs, he's in a really good side there. But that being said, in the past, Lockie Ilias, Reynolds, their Supercoach output at halfback in a side controlled by Cody Walker and Latrell Mitchell, not as much. He is running halfback though, so there could be avenue for a lot of points in that regard. But yeah, can you go double cheapie? I don't think you can. I think you need to hedge your bets, get a gun halfback in. They're one of the highest scoring positions regardless, and I think you've got to go that route. And instead, if you go double cheapie, you're really relying on the both to do well, whereas if you only get one, then you can swap if you get it wrong. At worst case scenario. At 5'8", Jonah Pezzett, 235,600. I think he's like probably the best cheapie in the game at the moment. We've seen what he can do. He is a gun, and he is playing second fiddle to Mitch Moses in the side. But I think what will be exciting is if Mitch Moses goes down with injury at all, he will control that side, and he will be a premium player at a cheap price. So I think there's no questions. Jonah Pezzett, he's a gun. Definitely got to look deep into the stats and get his 80-minute performance games out there and see what he actually averages as a second fiddle. Jonah Glover, once again. Cody Walker, I've got there at 399,000. Yeah, there's not much at 5'8", but I think Cody Walker is as close as it comes to it. 399,000. Yeah, he's getting older, but he's the chief playmaker of that side. And without him last year, they really struggled. So I think they're definitely going to emphasize on relying everything around Cody Walker. Latrell Mitchell probably won't be playing fullback, maybe playing 5'8", maybe playing centre, but I think that means just more ball for Cody Walker. At centre wing, in that St. George podcast, he pretty much confirmed Shane Flanagan that David Farley at 235,600 and Setu 201,400 are the top front runners for the wing positions. He even overruled Christian Tuipulotu. He said these two would be my starting wingers if the comp started tomorrow. I don't think that will happen. I think they're fighting for one spot. He's obviously not a massive fan of Tyrell Sloan. I think David Farley or Setu are pretty much locks, and my pick is David Farley. I think he is locked into that position on the wing, on the right wing, and I'm very excited to see what he can produce. He's from Penrith. He had one game last year for 76 points, and he looks really, really good. Hemesi Makasini, 235,600. The Tigers, Taruva, he's on one wing. Will Makasini or Skelton get the other wing? I think Skelton was a bit underwhelming last year, and I don't think he's certainly locked down a position. Makasini, big raps, Tigers Junior. I think there's every chance he starts on the wing. I haven't got any at fullback, and I haven't got any more at centre wing. I think a lot of my side is filled up of 400k plus players, and I think the structure of your side kind of works that way if you've got the right cheapies elsewhere. I think there's a lot of cheapies going around at this point of the year. Usually there's not. Hopefully we can wait and see how the preseason unfolds, and hopefully more cheapies come about because I think we are lacking in certain positions, especially centre wing. But that being said, I think we're pretty blessed this year. We've been blessed the last few years, and I think there's definitely a lot of cheapies to go around. Thank you for tuning in for this week's episode. We'll be back Tuesday to dissect the hookers, me and Timmy. And if you want to have a punt, head over to picklebet.com.au, use the code TURBO. That lets them know you're coming from our show. And Carl McGrath Accounting, carlmcgrathaccounting.com.au. They're our sponsors for the show. And head over to the Patreon if you are keen to get part of the chat and also see kind of these notes before the podcasts go live. So, I think that's all I have to say for now. Happy New Year, guys, and thank you for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one.